All right, welcome to episode 27 of the Boxed In podcast. I'm Garrity McCosker.
And I'm Trevor Sembrano.
And so I want to set the scene here. Last week we talked about how
big showdown between
we're going to do a weight loss competition, and we followed through on the opening weigh-in was today.
Weight loss royale.
We just finished right now.
Right.
And Trevor, talk a little bit about your approach to this.
So my approach was one to be very preemptive in nature, which was to basically gain as much weight as I could in the last 72 hours. So I've eaten a lot of peanut butter, a lot of chips and salsa, a lot of tacos. I've drank probably consistently 2 gallons of water a day, a lot of salt, knowing the sodium will help me retain water. I've moved up 2 belt sizes within the last 36 hours easily.
You're starting to breathe heavy, and I had these headphones on, I can hear it. Yeah.
I'm having trouble breathing. My insulin levels are... No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, you're committed, right?
I'm committed to the win. I want to tell you that
I still think I'm going to beat you, though. So.
I started at 193 pounds this week, and I just weighed in at 215. So I just want to let you know, man. I'm going to have...
Sub contest. I'm curious as to how long it's going to take you to get to 193 again.
I'll be below.
You better be there by Wednesday.
I'll be below 193 next weigh-in easily. If
next
not,
weigh-in's a week. I hope so.
If
you
not,
you ought to. Otherwise, you're screwed up.
No.
Because part of why I didn't do what you did is because I know myself, and if I get started, I might start a 7-day binge right now.
Yeah.
And I've been in that place where you're trying, you're so consistent, you're on your diet or whatever, and then you have one bad weekend of and then
nachos,
and then it swings into Monday, then it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and you're just doing it. So
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. Yeah, now I can see that happening.
So I just kind of ate regular, just went regular. Plus, I was already kind of...
You got a loser's mentality, bro.
I was already stressed. No, I'm going to beat you.
No.
Because
losers do
here's
what you do.
Here's the thing.
You played it safe, and that's going to fuck you in the end.
No, here's the thing.
Right.
You're not going to be able to lose this weight. You're going to take on this weight, and you're going to... This is the new you.
Did I tell you I sold my soul to the devil to win this contest? Who's a blues artist that said that he sold his soul to play the guitar?
Charlie Daniels?
But there was a guitar player too, right? That met him at the crossroads. There was a blues guitarist. Man,
that's a classic Trevor moment. He gets like,
where's our phone?
He gets it like
Google
half right, but you know.
No. There's a blues.
I got a computer.
Just listen. Soul to Soul the Devil blues guitarist. Is it Charlie Daniels? Doesn't ring a bell. Maybe it is him. Man, I can hear those finger strokes.
I know.
Just clicking away.
I got that Lenovo ThinkPad, baby.
Yeah. There's a contest. You can go online and see how fast you type. Yeah, beat me out.
Blues artist?
Yeah. Sold his soul to the devil.
Ooh, it says Robert Johnson.
Robert Johnson, thank you. Yeah, him. At the crossroads.
Highways 49 and 61 in Clarksdale, Mississippi, where the devil returns his instrument in exchange for his soul.
Yeah.
Trevor's right on this one.
Yeah, Trevor's won on this one.
Although
lost progeny last week, but this one he's up.
Right. There we go.
Back
redemption.
Back to winning. Back to the weight loss royale.
Yeah. But there may have been another song with. I feel like "Sold Your Soul to the Devil" could be a cliche that's been used in more than one blues.
Yeah,
but you're right. You're right about this. You want
just sell yourself for the most mediocre shit ever. The weight loss challenge.
That's all it took.
I'm gonna damn myself to eternity for this challenge. No.
I think you're going to get stuck in no man's land, and
I know it gets hard for me.
You're going to be fighting to get back down to 193. You're going to be fighting. I hope you get down to 193, but I hope it happens in week 1 and not week 3, which is more realistic for you.
I know that's going to be okay. With my body, I know that once I start getting around 185, 184, I really had to be disciplined to lose weight after that.
And you're gonna lose the self-discipline. This is a 60-day challenge.
I don't like that it was 60 days.
And you're going to fall right off again, and then boom, open the floodgates. Meanwhile, I'm still going.
Luckily, we just
I'm gonna
miss Halloween. So otherwise, there would have been no way.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that.
I thought I was like, well, okay, no, I'm cool.
Do you do the what my dad used to do? You take taxes from your kids. They go out and then you'd pick out the best.
I tell my kids,
it's time, take taxes. Here we go.
Get the peanut butter cups, the Reese's peanut butter cups. And then I go over there and act like they're too shy. And then I pick what I want. So, yeah.
Oh, man.
It's good when you have kids, stuff like that, and you get indentured servitude.
Yeah.
That's the other upside
so
of parenting.
it's more than just Halloween then, right?
Yeah.
There's more benefits.
There's other benefits. Bad things like you got to pay for Montessori school payments.
So it's actually not a good return
on investment.
Thinking about thinking about how expensive kids are versus
candy.
Back in the day when my grandmother had 11 double digits siblings, those kids actually went to work for you. And school wasn't as expensive back then.
You get a lot of free shit with kids though, but I think it's only if you got cute kids. Like I can't. If you get the ugly kids, I can't. You know.
Yeah.
Then you ever notice that people judge you by the way that your kids look?
I don't have kids, but I believe you. I believe you on that. Yeah, I believe you.
It's a very weird thing that goes on.
So when did this happen to you last? Like at school, teachers, or?
No, I just think that like when you're out, you see my daughters, right? My oldest daughter, like, looks very beautiful. Like she's like like going to be a supermodel or something. Dark hair, curly dark hair.
Blue eyes on brown
blue
skin.
Eyes, brown skin. So, anyways. But yeah, people will give you preferential treatment with your kids, and I always wonder myself, what if my kid was just like not
an asshole,
not that good? Like, would you let me cut in line?
I could see that how like maybe teachers have a bias towards the good-looking kid. That might just be a natural thing that happens.
My kids, for the most part, teachers have been pretty cool. There's always,
your kids are pretty smart kids, right?
My old, they're both very smart kids, but my oldest is, she's like today she used tedious with me. She said that's very tedious and monotonous. I was like, you're 9, chill out. You don't know what tedious and monotonous is. Wait till you're an adult. That is by definition the monotony.
Then the monotony begins. Yeah, wait until you get a 9 to 5.
So.
You'll be
taking you down.
So I'm gonna kick your ass in this competition.
We'll see.
This is great because
talk about your experience with what the loser has to experience.
The loser's going to. You're going to. No.
You had it right. The loser is going to, not you're going to. You had it right.
So Ivan brought to the gym. Ivan, who's the owner of Jack Rabbit's Boxing Gym, where Trevor's a trainer and what I've been working out at.
Yeah.
He brought some.
I'm having trouble right now just sitting.
Yeah, just adjust what you need to do. What you got to do. I know. And if you have to take,
my gut is hanging over my belt.
Trevor may end up leaving in the middle of the conversation to go to the bathroom because he has been hydrating. Yeah. Tipping the scales, doing whatever he has to do. So go ahead if you need to. You can. Yeah. Actually, I walked in moments and he goes, Garrity won't do it. And I was like, well, I'll do it. I didn't know what the hell it was going to be about. Like, I'll do it.
As a man, to men out there, if I can give you any advice to men overall.
Yeah.
If you hear a man say your name and you won't do it, just know whatever.
That's how you got every kid to do it.
Whatever follows up afterwards. It's some shit that you probably shouldn't have done.
He didn't do it. Yeah. Oh, no, he did eventually.
No, he did. But it's some shit that you probably shouldn't have
Andrew
done.
Didn't do it.
Yeah.
Little Andrew didn't do it.
Andrew was smart enough. And
he was like, I would spar next. I'm not doing it.
That's spar.
I don't even think he did spar, but it was a good excuse.
Like, you should know.
We didn't get to what it was. So it bought at some sort of gimmick shop.
What's it? No, not a gimmick shop. It's called, I want to say it's called Hot Licks. Licks.
And it was a very punishing, it hurt.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was making my nose bleed, my eyes.
Yeah, watching everybody's.
I was disgusted. My stomach hurt for much longer. But we're stepping up a notch. So the loser of this will have to destroy a plate of tacos with that. We're gonna go
3 tacos.
We're gonna go to a good spot, and you're gonna have a terrible experience because you'll take
that doesn't sound.
You'll take what is a good taco.
Why would you take a good taco and desecrate it with?
Because it's your punishment.
That's your punishment, but
it's your punishment. I
like how assertive you are. You're so certain.
Yeah.
But
Well, I know what it takes to win.
Yeah.
And I know that you went a little bit too heavy, and it's going to be harder to bounce back from.
It's hard for me to breathe, so you might have something there.
Yeah.
But I'm committed.
And honestly, if I had done your strategy, I know you would have just killed me at the gym tomorrow. It'd be the day we're gonna do ab work, and we're gonna be doing the medicine ball on the stomach on the abs, and I'm not willing to go through that because
just watch
I went wild.
How I slow all your training.
I know. So, Trevor's looking pretty slow. Yeah. He had a weekend.
No, tomorrow when I train you,
hey, dude.
You're like, what do you mean I gotta go slow? Go slower, Garrity. Go slower. What do you mean? That's not slow enough, Garrity. Like, I'm make sure you don't break a sweat at all. And then just bring you water the whole time.
So as somebody who has I've been a boxer for quite long enough that I've done the whole starve yourself, pig out.
What's the most pounds that you've lost for a fight?
Coming out of college, I was probably like 170, and I got down to like 138.
Hey, and then you fought at 138, huh?
I fought at 140. But I overdid it on that first fight.
Okay.
And then I was ready.
So
to
fight
go.
night, what were you? 47 or? 40?
No, 40 point something.
Oh, crazy!
140 point something.
Yeah, that's very not. I would have thought.
But that was coming off like rugby, and like senior week and like beer season, which like the last semester is like kind of a forget it. Like
I don't drink beer.
No physical fitness sweets. After rugby was over, and I was like.
Yeah.
Pretty well fed, and then went right into that. And yeah, I'm ready to do it again. But what I wanted to say was, I've also experienced the part where after a fight you go and you just binge, and part of that's just a bad.
I was with you after. Your fight, after your win.
Yeah. But you should have seen what happened the next couple of days.
Okay.
When you have a couple of days.
I don't blame you.
A head start. But what I was gonna say is
what I
was gonna ask you is one thing I noticed I start to get if like the inside of my knee right here, like I'm on the side here, if that starts to get fleshy, that's when I know like I'm getting fat, because normally it concaves in, but then when I'm just being gluttonous for 7 days, I start to see it puddle up, and then I actually get joint pain because like all of a sudden it's like I'm working on these knees. All of a sudden, there's like a bunch of flesh that's trying to occupy the same space, and it's
your body's saying.
I feel like an old man already when it's like I'm getting so fat that I'm hurting my knees right now. Like it's a fast acting thing.
Your mind.
Are you feeling that right now or no?
Yes, I'm feeling everything that you just described, and then some. Mostly shortness of breath.
You're gonna have to sleep on your back.
There's this like where Puffy. Not Puffy, but Notorious B.I.G. is talking about more money, more problems, and he's breathing real deeply. He's like, more money, more problems. But anyways, he's struggling to breathe, and Notorious B.I.G. was a big guy.
Yeah. And
I feel like him right now, struggling to sort of breathe. But
we're
gonna get through this podcast.
You're all mic'd up too. So
anything going on in the fights this
over the weekend?
Slow week, huh?
So the biggest topics outside of our contest, Jackrabbits in our world. The biggest topics I wanted to go over for today's episode is Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua 2 getting finally confirmed date and location, Saudi Arabia.
Right.
That was pretty unexpected. I wonder, and producer Daniel had been talking about this in the beginning, like how long they've been bidding on this kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't like it. Listen, if the bid has been put out there by some investors in Saudi Arabia, I think that's a great thing for boxing. But it's also to know that when you're having an event of this magnitude, which certainly is going to be a big event,
it sucks that not a lot of people are going to go to it.
It's
a lot of no Ruiz fans going to be able to fly out there.
Not just that too. It's also to say that not to say that if you can have an extension of your influence being in Eddie Hearn's position, that it would be much easier for him to exercise that influence in Saudi Arabia, specifically when he's the one who's, as a promoter, he's bringing over that business and so forth.
Absolutely.
And knowing that there's a good chance that if Ruiz doesn't definitively win whatever that definition is, or that there could be a robbery in order for Joshua to get his belt back. That's how I feel about it.
But I also see this as a step in the movement towards Eddie Hearn's just global domination strategy.
It hasn't worked though.
But he really has, moving on from being just Matchroom being just a UK brand.
Yeah.
He's moved into Italy, Matchroom Italy, USA.
He's been in Mexico too, right?
Mexico.
Yeah,
so he really is putting the most shows on DAZN.
Top Rank was in Macau. Remember this?
That's right. Yeah.
They had
Pacquiao and a couple of the
Pacquiao there.
Yeah, I remember.
There's somebody else there. But the thing about it
is Macau kind of like the gambling capital in China?
Macau
it's like
is
the big
gambling
party city.
Yeah, it's the gambling. It's the Las Vegas of China,
which makes a ton of sense, right? To have a boxing event there.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering is though, in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's wealth and money there, but are they gonna allow gambling? It's a Muslim country.
I don't know enough about.
There's no alcohol sales. There's no tecate there.
I would imagine that there's definitely probably no tecate there, but I would imagine that they're going to, or there is gambling. There's gambling all over. I know that they. I seen a Real Sports about there's races. They got the racing with the race horses and I think they actually really do race camels, which is an interesting thing.
They have a camel beauty contest I've seen too.
Yeah, I mean I know there's a Real Sports. You ever watch Real Sports on HBO?
It's been a long time.
Yeah, but there was an episode where they talk about the abuses that were going on with these young jockeys over in Saudi Arabia that were coming from countries that surrounded Saudi Arabia, and it wasn't just Saudi Arabia. I can't just point at them, but it was other parts of that world and so forth, and it was pretty crazy stuff. But they actually made this robotic jockey now. So my thing about that is usually if you have sports like that, there's got to be gambling going on. I mean, even if it's not state sponsored, there's definitely gambling going on in that part of the country. But putting that aside, my thing is that when you're having fights in Madison Square Garden, or you're having fights at the Barclays, or you're having fights in Vegas, there's so much revenue that's being generated just because of the gambling that's going on. I know that they've decriminalized gambling in New Jersey, the gambling that's going on in Vegas and so forth. A lot of states are open. Hotels. Yeah. Same thing would go for the pond of whether or not you have a big fight in the Wembley Arena. I just, this idea that you're going to take something like these big fights in boxing and bring them over to different parts of the world, and they're going to experience the same amount of success. I'm not quick to jump to conclusion just because a country is wealthy that's automatically going to happen. If that were the case, I think that Macau would have worked out, because Macau certainly is a beautiful, wealthy, city.
But it is exciting to see that.
Yeah, that's exciting. But I wish it wasn't. And
other countries, new markets are taking a chance.
There won't be a lot of Mexican flags in the stands for Andy Ruiz, and that it's.
I'm going to imagine there's more British businessmen that live in Saudi Arabia.
I don't know. You and I are not privy to how these guys collectively agree upon if it's okay with both parties. But if I was Andy, I don't know if I would want to. I certainly would have a preference to fight him in Saudi Arabia, maybe more than the UK. But I still don't know if I would be okay with it. So
I guess there's one school of thought that, hey, at least we settle on a true neutral spot, because it is very neutral. Yes, are you making the claim that Eddie Hearn probably has a little bit more say?
Well, only because there's no boxing commission in Saudi Arabia. Right?
It's truly. Well, I don't know if that's
this
true,
might be the first event it's the first time I've ever heard about an event in Saudi Arabia for boxing.
But there may be small shows. We don't know.
Badu Jack, you know who Badu Jack is?
Yeah,
from TMT, and Amir Khan. They both put on shows in Dubai. Pretty common.
Dubai.
Yeah. So
Dubai's had. Even recently, Amir Khan fought for the Pearl Belt or whatever. I believe that was in Dubai as well.
And
Dubai's a different.
Makes sense too. Both Badu Jack and Amir Khan are both Muslim, right? So obviously Amir Khan is a humongous icon in Pakistan, if not the whole Islamic world. I'm sure that Badu Jack has a lot of momentum with him too. I know that his wife is from that part of the world as well. So it makes sense probably for them to do business over there. I know they're doing business in Dubai. And they're building boxing to where it can be very profitable, probably for everybody that enters there at one time. But to bring
overall, I think it's a
this
good thing.
Huge show there, it's like, man, I still don't. But we'll see what happens. I mean, Eddie doesn't make no mistakes.
Eddie's probably making a lot of money by the state side, the people, like the promoters on that end, the venue side promoters that want to bring such
it's pretty easy, quick flight for that part of the world, for the UK. To get over there to Saudi Arabia. So
yeah, and British fans do travel well.
Yeah, Brits they're real fans. I mean, you think about Ricky Hatton.
Have you ever been in the corner of a fight in Britain?
Yeah, I had a fight in the Wembley Arena for a title against Derek Chisora, And it was a really...
What's that like? They're like singing, they're chanting,
Yeah.
They're organized, listen, they're doing a whole different thing. Right?
Everything, it sounds pretty crazy, but everything about the British and the way that they treat their sports people, and even how they treated us. I mean, they treated us really, really good. They treated us really, really good until we walked out that tunnel. And they're kind of throwing stuff and calling.
So the commission didn't treat you like the beast side.
No, the commission treated us like
they
tried to make our night miserable. Okay. Absolutely, like
a hotel had one less bed than they said it was going to have. Stuff like that.
What they kind of kept on doing with us, which I thought was crazy. And Jesse Reed would kind of say, this is the commission and this is the promoters messing with us. They had us like going to 3 or 4 things in a day, and they kept changing the times on us. So they'd get us up really early in the morning, saying we had to be somewhere at 8 a.m., right? And then like somebody would come over at 8 a.m. all dressed up. And God, it was Frank Warren's son, so who's the other promoter over there. And he'd say, actually you guys aren't going to, meet here at 8 a.m. anymore. You guys have to be ready at 10:30. I said, well, that's not too bad. We'll go get breakfast, right? I'm dealing with a heavy weight too, so you don't have to worry about that weight thing. Go get breakfast. All of a sudden, it's going to be 1 or 2. It was 3. He did this a couple times to us. And finally, Jesse said, go tell him to go fuck himself. They're doing it on purpose. And, they're like, oh, you got to come do this, kind of do that. He's like, man, you guys.
Yeah.
So I don't have the experience of Jesse Reed. Jesse Reed, like I said, he had 23 world champions. He's been there, done that. He was there when Roger Mayweather and Julio Cesar Chavez got into it, or when there was some sort of fight that broke out in the corner at Caesar's Palace. But I mean, he's seen a lot of shit. So another kind of thing with Jesse Reed. Jesse Reed had sent me down to the kitchen of the hotel. Not there, but at another fight that I was working with a fighter with him to check the food to make sure
it wasn't being fucked with.
It wasn't being tainted. Yeah. Damn. So I mean, at that level,
that kind of stuff can go down. That's wild.
that kind of stuff goes down. And he's
bring your own food, bring your own.
So he just felt like they were messing with us. Does that mean they were messing with us? I don't know. I'm not Frank Warren, but I do know one thing.
Well, I mean, they certainly weren't being considerate.
We weren't being considerate. So. We kept on waking up, and
that's wild. That kind of stuff goes down though.
Yeah. When they also like the big thing with them is that when you go over there, you have to tell them that you want to acclimate to the time, which as an athlete.
How many days does that take usually?
In my opinion, dealing with it, I used to think that like a mentality of a fighter that it wouldn't matter, right? Like it just doesn't matter. You're a fighter. You're gonna win because you have to win. But I went down the rabbit hole of circadian rhythms one day, and its effect over like your ability to respond to, to actually be just your reflexes.
Like so let's the fighter comes game and ready to fight.
Yeah, to be sharp.
But there could be a slight disadvantage if he's tired, and there's no way around that science.
It's kind of like they're doing tests on
body fatigue, and then
pilots and people like this, and they're saying, oh well, with people with the different time changes, and they're finding a measurement of disadvantage for people that are experiencing time change. So I would think that, like, if, for example, if you were to go fight in Europe or in the UK, I'd probably request at the very least a 10-day window, And I've seen a lot of fighters go as early as 2 weeks. I know that the fighter that I was with, we had only gone 7 days before. And the next time that he had gone to go fight in Europe, I know that he had gone for 2 weeks. So actually in Australia, 2 or 3 weeks. So it must have been something that he must have caught wind of.
Okay, let me take more time.
Yeah, it was actually New Zealand, if I remember correctly.
Well, it's good they had the opportunity to do the longer.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they want you to make the fight. What are we talking about here? These guys got. We were saying at this place that gives you a cookie every day. That was like the highlight of my day. The DoubleTree.
DoubleTree, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been hearing about that a lot recently. Like that's a big thing in like
the cookie,
the public right now. Like I've heard that on like a. Yeah. A random conversation and like on the radio, like someone talking about.
They leave you a chocolate chip cookie, and that was just like, there's nothing else to do. The other thing about fighting overseas is you're literally sort of, unless you have some people to show you around. Jesse Reed had some Turkish fighters that lived out there, and it was great. They took us out. They took us to eat some Turkish food. It ended up being a really good experience. But outside of that, when those guys weren't around, it was like,
you're bored and
we're like prisoners. We have,
Yeah.
And then the traffic out there, man.
And I'm sure they put you in a shitty hotel in the worst part of town. And
we were Doubletree was pretty nice.
But, you did go to Doubletree.
Yeah, we stayed at the Doubletree.
Oh, yeah, your cookie. Don't
worry. The room was like, man, the room was small. It was like crazy, but I guess that's just every room. But it's just.
But they'll do whatever they can to inconvenience the B-side fighter, or they'll come from.
I mean, most of the things the commission, like I've had some weird experiences with the commission. Being in the B-side, being the opponent, I don't know if I mentioned this before. They tried to switch the gloves out with the fighter. Joe Goosen was there. Jesse Reed was also there. You got 2 Hall of Fame trainers. They're dealing with the New York State Athletic Commission. The way that they dealt with it, particularly Joe Goosen, it's just there's a reason why.
Now that was for Malik Scott, right?
That's for Malik. Yeah.
Was Malik Scott the fighter you took to England as well?
Yeah. Malik but it's good to have an experienced guy like Joe Goosen and Jesse Reed, because had it just been me, it's also I'm on a learning curve too, right?
Right.
I don't really realize that if you go get the gloves approved by the New York State Athletic Commission, which were rival gloves. We actually had Russ Abner, the owner of Rival, that was wrapping Malik's hand, also in the corner, who, just to be fair and honest, wasn't as combative at that moment as Joe Goosen was with the commission. But Joe Goosen basically let the commission know. And this fight is televised.
Yeah.
It was on NBC. They're like, if you're not going to come out here and we're just not going to fight.
Yeah, he has an immense amount of leverage, and you being
it's not even
new, you didn't quite realize that ability.
I didn't know. I didn't know that these guys will fuck with you so much as being the opponent. There's also a little weird shit that went down. Like they stole. We don't know who they is, but some stuff got stolen out of our warm-up dressing room. Between us going in there, the pads did. So, luckily I had 2 pairs of pads, but that's just kind of off, right?
You can't prepare.
Yeah. And the commission kept on coming in.
This is off subject, but you do see this a lot of times though. Right before the fighter goes up, a lot of times trainers will actually just not use pads. They'll just use.
I mean, I don't think that with a big. You probably they want to,
Yeah, I guess with the heavyweight, you
don't want to use pads, but it's also too that with you guys.
I don't know if that's just for precision or what actually is that. Is that just kind of?
In my opinion, you guys are, listen, you guys are about to go hit some shit. Period. You're about to hit flesh, right? About to hit a man. It's probably good.
Keys you in a little bit more.
To get that feeling
through all the way to the,
and also to pack that glove.
Yeah.
And especially with the wraps on the fight night, which the wrap for the most part is much differently than the wraps that you're training with, unless you're always training with the fighter, you're always getting wrapped every day before you train, like a prospect would be or a contender would be, right? But just to get that feeling, it's also a mindset. Like the minute you put in your mouthpiece, there's something sort of clicks differently, right? No, you don't have that headgear on, and that Vaseline is getting applied to your face, and you're hitting those pads, you're ripping and running, you're locked in, focus is there. You know what it is that you're about to face.
And then you put your hands up up to your face, and you have that realization that these gloves are smaller.
Yeah.
There's no headgear gap separation. Everything, the dimensions have all changed. I don't have an inch and a half of.
You won't be laying on the ropes to take a break.
Everything's really small down here. You
got a winning headgear, right, with a bar, or you don't have just a nice headgear with no bar. Those aren't 16s or 14s. And every shot that guy sees that he thinks he can get is coming with bad intentions.
Yeah.
You're not in there working.
And those shots are breaking through the guard because it's so small that sometimes they're breaking through the guard.
Yeah.
That wouldn't.
Don't sit on
if you have those.
Any aspiring pros, do not sit on the ropes. It didn't work out for anybody. It didn't work out for Rios. It didn't work out for Margarito. Definitely, I think of Miguel Cotto sometimes getting caught on the ropes. Don't sit on the ropes. What you can do in sparring, can you sit on the ropes and sort of fisticuff your guard, take a little break and talk some shit to somebody? Absolutely, but you got 16s on, and probably a pretty good headgear. So definitely don't do that in the pro game. Another thing that I didn't know at that time, but it sort of looked like learning on the job, Jesse Reed was always adamant about not letting the fighters hang out on the ropes, right? And I remember one time he had joked about getting a dog collar and wrapping it around the fighter's calf and, hitting them with the button every time they get on the rope. So Jesse's just like, we got to get, figure out how not to get them on the ropes. We're going to buzz the shit out of them, right? Electrocute them. And at the time, when Jesse's like...
It's a little invention idea right there.
Yeah, Jesse would say some shit and I'd be like, whoa, man. But I was like, but I didn't realize it's like when... I'm learning too on the job, but how important it is not to have your fighter on the ropes, and that if you're practicing that in sparring, oftentimes, which you are, not you, but a lot of fighters are, you'll see it a lot, particularly in all gyms, but sometimes more with a gym that bangs and so forth. Yeah, don't get yourself in that habit because
bangs.
Yeah, bangs.
Gang bangs.
No, not gang bangs. Lets our hands go.
Yeah.
So, definitely don't want to get in that habit because
it's not going to work for you out later on.
Not with them small, not with the 8 ounce, not with the 10 ounce gloves. No, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So
another topic that I had prepared for this episode was a bit of a shakeup last night in the boxing world. A highly touted prospect coming out of Cuba.
Para la isla de Cuba.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So his name was Ramirez. He has a funny first name.
You got footage of him getting clipped? He got stopped or he lost?
Robesi Ramirez. I remember when Top Rank signed him. Yeah. It was like a big event. Like I think. Yeah. Their Twitter really publicized it. It was a few months back. Mm-hmm. It's one of these Cubans that has been amateur for so long because that's how the Cuban program works. Right. He finally comes to America. Whatever he had to do, defect
from La Finca,
and then he comes and he signs with the top promoter right away. Highly anticipated pro debut. He fights a guy named Adon Gonzalez.
What was his record?
Who was 4-2-2.
Yeah.
Adon knocks him down in the first round.
Yeah.
And after that, Ramirez never really pulls it all together. And he wins the fight.
I would say this.
It's pretty cool to see. I love seeing the B-side win.
Hindsight is 20/20, right? So yeah. I would say this: if you got even when Lomachenko lost to Salido, which I believe was
he's biting off a lot in his second fight,
second or third fight.
Second fight is a professional.
Second fight, like
going for a title.
I mentioned this before. Everybody told me that I said it's crazy for him to fight Salido at this time.
Right.
He doesn't have Salido probably had over 55 fights at the time. 50 fights, right? Although this guy doesn't have that many fights, he's had those small gloves on, right? He's also, it's a new version of being underneath the lights. Although to say, I don't know if this guy fought in the Olympic Games. I imagine that's an incredible feeling too.
Yeah. Ramirez, twice.
And did he medal?
So, yeah, he was. I think it was double gold. Yeah,
double gold. Holy shit! Wow. Yeah. So he's a real prospect.
So he was getting paid too. I mean, this is like Top Rank really spent money on this guy.
Listen, he's not done, right?
No, not at all.
He caught a loss.
Bernard Hopkins lost his first fight.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a different scenario completely. It's starting late.
I think that perhaps I wouldn't have given a guy that had 9. What he had 9, 4 and 4 and 2. Is that what it was? 10 fights.
He had 8 fights going in. I think.
8 fights. Okay, so you're just giving a guy, from the rip, 8 fights and it's a professional debut. You still got to take that into account.
Yeah.
Maybe you should probably had him debut with someone
who had 2 fights,
and not treat everybody like Lomachenko because they got double golds, and knowing that Lomachenko is different than also acknowledging Lomachenko is different than everybody else that we've seen. Right? You can't just say this guy has 2 golds. He's going to be able to be like Loma. We've got Loma. This is the pattern. This is how we're going to go on. This is the program that we're putting him on. It doesn't mean that his career is over. I don't know anything about the young man. Obviously, sounds like he's still an exciting prospect. He lost 1 fight.
Career definitely not over. Yeah. I mean, I would hope that that's the case because I'm not a 2-time gold medalist, and I lost my second fight, and I want to come back. And that's why. But this is why I like this kind of story. I like when I see the guy who got overlooked, pull off a victory.
Oh, everybody wants to see.
And now this young man's 5-2-2, and he's he's probably going to be able to get a couple more shots.
Listen, and he might listen. It means a lot for him too. He just beat a guy that was a 2-time gold.
Maybe he'll be able to
he might be able to
take time off his job and train more in boxing. I mean, Tevin Farmer is a great example.
Farmer, exactly.
I mean, we have the best example of a guy who had a rough start in the beginning and
is doing
now
great things.
Yeah.
So
I liked seeing the story, and I'm going to be rooting for Ramirez to come back. Go for it.
Water I drink. I'll be back.
So in the meantime, Daniel might want to jump in there and chat with me, or we can cut. It doesn't matter. So So Tevin Farmer is a guy who, we're rooting for him, but he if he fights Gervonta Davis, that streak might come to an end. But someone who started off, I think he had lost 2 and had a draw in 2 of his first, like, let's say 7 fights, something like that. I could pull the box record, but I didn't. And he's now, world champion who's defended his title 4 times in the last year. And, people love that story, and it's good to see it in the modern era in real life now. I guess, if you're listening to this now and you're wondering why Trevor left, go and see the YouTube video that will be posted. It's a separate video from this episode, and we did the weigh-in in that video. And you'll see just how much water Trevor was going through. He'd been really trying to tip the scales now because he thinks that's going to make it easier for him to win this contest. But we'll see. We'll see. He's back. Trevor's back.
I feel much better already.
Yep. Good.
Starting to be able to
starting to
my gut in a little
good,
bit more.
Good.
Yeah, but he lost the fight. He's going to be okay. I mean, just it's really easy for boxing people. They see someone lose a fight.
I hate that,
and they just want to throw them away.
Yeah, I hate that.
So
that's terrible.
It's always guys that fucking never.
No, what I hate is that when civilians do that.
Yeah, civilians.
They want to talk shit about a fighter who lost. It's like, imagine.
Yeah, they'll say like such and such is a bum, but
imagine being able to say that about any sports team.
Like he's a bum. He has
loses a game in this regular
medals.
season, and you act like they can't be champions at the end of the season.
No, this is so common.
You got to clear that out.
Yeah, the mediocrity of men who look at the guys that succeed at these levels.
Oh, I could beat him up. Yeah.
To even think
he's only 147. He's tiny.
Like to say that you're at the top 10 or top 25 or top 100 for that matter in your weight class or your sport. Just imagine if I met you. So I'm the top 100 accountant in the world, right? Like you would know, wow, that's quite the accomplishment that comes with accolades, that comes with success and so forth. But the top 100 fighter at featherweight, he's a bum. And it's often from guys that
guys have never stepped in there before.
Yeah, or I hear people talking about fighters that say such and such is this or such and such is that, and it's like he's a bum, or even the way they talk about Floyd. Shit, they talk bad about Floyd.
Yeah.
He runs.
He's a chicken,
he runs like a chicken.
If you don't understand what you're watching, then it's easy to get there.
Even don't run like understand what you're watching. Like, bro, people are trying to debate. The whole purpose is people are trying to knock him unconscious in fights, and you're calling this dude a chicken. Like one thing that Floyd isn't is scared. Right. But you got just regular day men saying this. They're platitudes. So, yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I wish that young man luck. He's with the right people.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
And I wish the most success to Adon Gonzalez too, because happy to see that for a kid who gets his moment to pull something off. And
remember this. This young man is only one fight away from where Lomachenko was.
Right, absolutely.
Loma at one time was 1-1.
Yeah,
right. So. And he lost his second fight, which he did lose. Whether or not
he bit off a big big task.
I'm not saying this guy's Salido, but
which is why he went to Top Rank. He wanted to fight.
Him and his father said they wanted
to fight for a title
fights
right away.
Yeah.
And Bob Arum was the only one who said,
"Yeah,
okay, we'll do it out in your second fight."
Yeah. So I mean,
which is wild, but
yeah. You watched the Virgil Ortiz Orozco fight, Antonio Orozco?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I watched the fight. So
yeah, what do you think?
I think that Virgil Ortiz
that was the main event of last night's show on DAZN.
For real, he's a prospect.
Because last week I don't think you had been too impressed.
I'm still it's not that I'm not impressed on him. He hasn't I use the prospect word, right? He's not a contender. He hasn't beaten a former world champion. Right? He hasn't.
Prospect, yeah.
He's a prospect.
Very, very good prospect. And I think
the guy looks like
he's in his 14 he's at 14 fights. I don't think anyone's saying he's a contender at this point.
Well, you'd be surprised.
People were saying that about Teofimo Lopez, but I don't know if
people.
I mean, I did see a tweet that said he's not a prospect, he's a problem. But that was just a hype man. That was
people at the gym.
A fan from the city
telling me that that this kid is the next big thing since Oscar De La Hoya.
About Virgil Ortiz.
Yeah, and I kind of sit there and he's going to have to I go, first of all, not to be, Oscar is a guy that had belts at 130, 35, 40, 47, 54. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves here.
But I do think that he is one of the biggest prospects for Golden Boy to keep their investment in.
He reminds me,
because let's say Canelo retires in the next 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Who are the big guys?
Ryan Garcia.
I believe Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia's got a tough. His next fight is a very tough fight.
I believe Ryan Garcia and Virgil Ortiz ought to be those guys that are, and eventually.
But just not to mention another Ortiz, which was Victor Ortiz, right? And Victor Ortiz being in a position where
a little bit of a
right.
I want to say burnout, but someone that we thought was going to be in it, and things didn't turn out the way.
Well, yeah, he'd fought in Maidana. He obviously fought in Floyd, and Berto and so forth. We ended up going through his career, but he had some great fights, and he had some fights where, that things got rough, and he didn't seem like he was cut out for it. Not to say that he isn't, right? But
lost fans in that moment.
Yeah, the thing about it is that when we get behind fighters, if you're just a regular day fan out there and you don't understand boxing, the first thing that you need to come to an agreement with is that the legends, the Oscar De La Hoyas, the Floyd Mayweathers, the Manny Pacquiaos, the Miguel Cottos, the Sugar Shane Mosleys, and the legends of yesteryear and the generation before, that these guys were doing it at different weight classes. So before you get ahead of yourself, when I run across this everyday fan who tells me that Virgil Ortiz is going to be the future of boxing, I'm scratching my head because I'm like, well, going to be hard for me to co-sign off on him because I haven't seen him do anything. Period. I haven't even seen him fight.
Not yet. I mean,
haven't seen him fight a fighter that can actually fight.
I'm impressed by him,
I like that I like his conviction. But hey, at one time, I liked Victor Ortiz because I thought Victor Ortiz came to bang, same sort of thing. That doesn't mean that when you have a fighter like that they can beat your top level guys in their weight class.
It remains to be seen.
And then another thing too is to say about Virgil. Virgil, I guess, had talked about was saying he wants to fight Manny Pacquiao. He wants to fight.
He called out Ryan Garcia actually last night. Well, didn't he? Yeah, it was Ryan.
Did he fight?
Yeah, he called him out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Even that is ridiculous.
That was because they're not. Ryan's not moving up.
I think he'll beat Ryan Garcia right now. Just Virgil seems like a very physical kid. Mm-hmm. Seems like he's got and what he's cracking with is different. I will say that.
Maybe he was meant to say that by Golden Boy so that focus could be on two Golden Boy guys rather than
Golden Boy
being called out by.
Did not give Ryan Garcia as the fight on September 14th that's coming up.
Right.
They didn't give him an easy look at all. They gave him Avery Sparrow. He's from Philadelphia. I had a.
Tell me more about. I don't know much about this Sparrow kid.
Me and Ivan had met with Sparrow at Churchill, which used to be Wildcard West.
Yeah.
There's a chance that we might train him, which would be interesting because Ivan
as an add-on because I'm sure he has a good team.
No, well, I mean he's sponsored for the most part by Usher, by the R&B artist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Avery Sparrow, I was only with them around him for 2 days. I didn't work the sparring with him because I don't have a relationship with him like that. But Ivan did. But obviously, I was right there next to him. The one thing that I could say about Avery Sparrow and the little time that I've spent watching his tape and the little time that I was in the corner with him, he's a very reactive fighter. And he also is very avant-garde in his approach. He's not a traditional guy as far as the way that he sets up. I wouldn't want to put Ryan Garcia if I'm doing Ryan Garcia's handling, I'm not putting him up against Ryan Garcia because I'm knowing how Ryan is developing his craft. I'm thinking that Ryan at this point isn't mindful enough to fight a fighter, and that's going to give him different kinds of looks all the time. Not make any kind of agreements, and whose approach is very fluid, very malleable, and very, very awkward. Right?
So should he come over to you guys When would you know that by?
We're trying to, I'm probably speaking
on. Should be wrapping up soon.
Yeah, by the time the podcast comes out, hopefully. So, yeah, we had already talked to him. I mean, so
I'm basically getting no attention at the gym for the next 2 months.
No. Well, you took this is September 14th. So, and he would be coming through in the daytime.
In the daytime, yeah.
But and this isn't just because there's a chance that Avery Sparrow beat Hank Lundy, right? Hank Lundy is a guy who gave Terrence Crawford a pretty good fight. I mean. Crawford being Crawford is still Hank Lundy.
Lundy's fought a lot of guys.
Lundy's been through it. He has been through it. I mean, he fought.
It's a true veteran.
Ray Beltran comes to mind. There's a guy I want to say, Molina. I'm not quite sure if I remember, but I think so. But no, Hank Lundy is a dog. I mean, he's from West Philadelphia, and he's coming to fight. He's got a mentality. He's a real fighter. Yet Sparrow basically, he didn't take him to school completely, but he won in a convincing manner. He's a very awkward fighter. Like I said, he doesn't fight with a rhythm. And when I see Ryan Garcia in the way that he's developing a system, I wouldn't quite put Ryan Garcia against Avery Sparrow right now. But look, the upside of it is that this decision probably wasn't made, very easily. And the Reynosos must have a lot of confidence in Ryan Garcia to make this decision. And it's also to know that
if he wins,
it's also an incredible opportunity for Avery too, because if Avery beats him,
that's a big name.
You're gonna know everyone's gonna know this kid. And Avery Sparrow has a kind of temperament and the kind of he's a star himself too in his own right. He's not like Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia looks like he'd be in a guest ad. He probably isn't a guest ad for all I know. But Avery Sparrow too is a star in his own way, like Adrian Broner. He talks and he puts on a show. Comes to fight. So that's a great.
Well, that's good. That's a couple of fights to look forward to. Actually, at this point, I don't know. We haven't mentioned. I think we'll do our check-in next week for the weigh-in, and we'll be sharing that on our social media to see the progress, kind of see who's leading the way.
Who's leading the way?
So I weighed in at 170.5 today.
Right.
And you weighed in at 215.
215.
All right. So I think all the listeners can see on our social media as this competition goes on. 60 days from now. We're having our final weigh-in.
This is a long time.
Having our final weigh-in. I like hearing that. That makes me confident.
Yeah. I wish I would agree to like 45.
Well, you wish, but so
I'm not actually going to get focused.
We'll do another weigh-in next week. And is there anything else on today's episode you want to leave the listeners with?
No, is there any fights coming up? Anything we need to discuss? No.
I think my topics were covered.
Yeah. As far as anything I would want to cover.
Any ask besides keep an eye out for Avery Sparrow.
Yeah, no, I think it's been a slow week overall for boxing. I can't even think of any. What are the big fights that are coming up?
I haven't even looked at the schedule yet. It's only Sunday. But next we got
Yeah, this is crazy. It's been kind of seems slow in boxing right now. Yeah, that's about it. I can't think of anything.
Oh, they're gonna fight over at the Bank of America Stadium.
Where is it? Who's this?
I think it's Jesse Maldonado's fighting Rafael Rivera. He fought.
Yeah, I know Jesse.
He fought
Maldonado.
He fought.
Yeah.
Rivera fought somebody. He fought.
Yeah.
He got a big step up on one of Canelo's undercards. Anyway.
Yeah.
He was actually a guy I talked to back in the day when I was doing matchmaking. But anyway, so I think we're wrapping from here. And the big ask is that you go and check out the YouTube Boxing TLDR YouTube channel. We have the weigh-in video there, and we also have all of our video episodes of podcasts there. Go ahead and subscribe there and leave a comment. And thanks guys for tuning in. See you guys next week.
It's been a pleasure looking in your eyes this whole time.